here we go. Our G-bob, horizontal joy G-bob. So section off the back symmetrically, divide the left and right. So we'll be working with horizontal modular sections. So this time around, my G-bob, I comb the hair straight out and I'm cutting square lines throughout the entire back until I reach the occipital bone area. So this type of G-bob, again, is a horizontal G-bob. My sections aren't pivoting. They're not starting from the occipital bone down. I'm just working horizontal, straight out. So second section is elevated slightly. And again, I still comb the hair straight out, square. And I follow that square angle to complete the second section on the left side. Okay, so when cutting G-bobs, you're looking for effectiveness and efficiency. So as you're cutting the left side, stand slightly between the occipital bone and the shoulder. Make sure, like seriously, make sure, this is imperative, make sure you're combing the hair from the roots to your guideline super clean. And the definition of super clean is that the hair that you comb is parallel to the teeth of your comb. Okay, so here, each section I progressively elevate. So here, I'm combing the hair out, I have a guide, and I elevate the third section higher than the second. But I'm throwing math into it now. So before I started this haircut, I already calculated the angle when I hit the occipital bone. So my highest angle at the occipital bone is a 50-degree acute angle. Acute angle is graduation. So I'm using 4 sections to reach my high point. So long as I know my section count and my high point count, then I can incorporate math into my technique. Okay, so here I'm at the occipital bone point. My high degree is 50 degrees. I use 4 sections to get there. So I can take math. I take 50 degrees divided by 4. I get 12.5. So math tells me my guideline section was elevated to 12.5. The second section, 25. The third, you just add 12.5 to that, and the final is 25. The final is 50 degrees. So now we're calculating mathematics into our classical haircutting technique. When you cut hair using math, it is your greatest skill set. It's more important than your scissors or your comb. It's up there with technique. Okay, so now that I exceeded the occipital bone area, I'm over directing every section to the exact same point. So from here on out, I'm building weight. So I'm building weight from this point until I reach the crown area. Okay, so comb the hair super clean from roots to ends, which is extremely challenging. It's easier said than done. So that's why I use math, because math can kind of remedy my margin of error for elevate each section a little bit higher, because everyone's definition of a little bit higher is different. I want to use math. I want to calculate that sucker down to 100%. First section, I elevated to 12.5 degrees. Second section here, I'm elevating to 25 degrees, because I know I need 4 sections to meet my occipital bone area. And then I can put more emphasis on the way I stroke the hair, my body position, making sure my fingers, section, elbows, comb, they're all parallel. So math, it relieves a lot of stress, but then it gives you more time to pay attention to the other vital, crucial points of actually nailing a G-bob, because a G-bob is super complicated. When I was an assistant, I would have nightmares about cutting G-bobs. ED would come and they could always find problems. So there's no such thing as a perfect G-bob. Okay, so now at the 4th section, my elevation is 50 degrees. So that's a 50-degree elevation point. So then I can just focus on like my body position, my stroke count, my stroke cleanliness. So incorporating math it's just the most logical and intelligent choice you can make. And it's not like rocket science. Like, this is like basic kindergarten math. Okay, so once I exceed the occipital bone area, every single section is over directed to the exact same point. So here I'm building weight. As you cut the left side, pivot your body or move the chair towards your center of balance. Otherwise, you'll have a tendency to over direct the hair too far towards the occipital bone. So just be very cautious about that tendency. Again, awareness is half the battle. So still cutting square. Next section is over directed to the exact same point. So my elevation level is at 50 degrees because that's where I determined even before the haircut. And then once I make my determinations, then I can start calculating my math. And I don't want to go too deep into math on the video stuff because it's a little bit more, it takes a bit more time. I just want to give you a brief overview. If you'd like to learn more, there are sessions and stuff that are, they're all over the place, so you can go search for that. Anyhow, so pivot as you're working through the right side, because right-hand cutters will have a tendency to over-direct a bit much through the right portion of this cut. And as you reach the crown area, if you see a really intense cowlick, just relax on the tension. Remember to pivot your body or move the chair towards your center of balance as you progress towards the right ear. Because again, right-hand cutters have a tendency to over-direct too much through this portion of the cut. So just with that heightened sense of awareness, you won't have to make that mistake. Now we move to the left side of the cut. I want a softer shape, so this time I'm cutting it through my fingers. My elevation is about 40 degrees, and I'll comb the hair straight out, same elevation, and I'm just nailing my line. I want a softer line through the front. If I wanted the line harder, I could elevate lower. It's up to you. Okay, so the next section again is over directed to the exact same point of elevation, 40 degrees. Comb the hair super clean from roots to your guideline and just knock that hair down. Make sure that you're working around the haircut. You're standing in the proximity where you're cutting. If you find that where you start the section and you finish the section, your feet are at the same point, you're making tons of mistakes. You have to be fluid. A G-bob is a very fluid shape, and the G-bob is, it has the margin of error for a G-bob is basically zero. So you can't make any mistakes. Once you make a mistake, it blows everything off. So you just have to work around the head and know what you have and have that intention and know the cut before you do it. Do the cut in your mind before you do it. Look at my body position, hand position, next section. I'll pivot slightly more towards the rear, towards the ear. So I'm working with a shape that I'm actually creating. As I cut, I also became the same shape. If I'm cutting an acute angle, my body is also slanted. I become an acute angle. I am graduated. The shape I'm cutting is graduation, and I also become graduation. Make sure your eyes are exactly in front of what you're cutting, because only from that perspective are you able to see absolutely everything. Hair is tricky. Sometimes it tries to trick you up or test your skill sets, so you have to be aware of that. So again, combing the hair straight out. Make sure the hair that you comb is parallel to the teeth of your comb. And as I work forward, my body position gradually pivots forward. I become the shape that I intend to cut. Eyes level. So at this point, when your eyes are level, you can see your guide, you can see what you're combing, you can have a stronger assessment as to your elevation. And this is, in my opinion, the only way to do it. So same technique on the opposite side. So now as I approach the right side, I just incorporate the same angle that I created from the back. My eyes are just fiercely assessing that entire strand of hair from the roots to my guideline. If I see anything that's off, any diminishes, I'll go back slowly and I'll comb it again. Section is approached in the same manner, just working super clean. My elevation is still at 40 degrees. Super clean guideline. When my guideline is clean, that tells me that's the exact point of elevation I need to be cutting at. If I'm elevating too high or too low, my guideline will be super fuzzy. So that awareness, so you need to have your eyes where you're cutting and don't relax. Like this extra effort, that's what makes the difference between an amazing cut and a mediocre cut. So again, incorporating here, I'm starting from the back and I'm working all the way to the front because this area of the section at the crown area, when the hair falls to the natural fall, it covers a great mass that I need to incorporate in my cut. So even though I'm focusing on the sides, I'll start in the back and then continue it to the side. So, and also, since I approach this haircut like modular, I cut the back and two, I separated them. So technically I'll get a corner, but as I work through the crown area, if I blend them again, that corner will be knocked down and insignificant after the blow dry, because after the blow dry, I still have to go and like polish the shape. So for the finish, I'll go in and I'll just flat wrap the hair. So I want my nozzle to follow the back side of my paddle brush, and I'll push the hair in tons and tons of different directions. Here, my aim is for a tremendous amount of organic movement. So the way to achieve that is by pushing the hair in tons and tons of different directions. But don't go against the root too much. And also, when you're working with super thick hair, use a sufficient amount of tension to pull that cuticle smooth and nail that cuticle shut. So now I'll start to leave the hair using tension. My only aim as I'm finishing this hair, my only focus is on a super shiny effect. I need to make sure every strand on that head of hair, that cuticle, is sealed shut. That's my only focus. So as you're cutting, you have to learn how to wear different hats. When I'm a cutter, I'm a cutter. When I'm finishing, it's a different mindset. And once I finish the finish, then I'll jump into a cut. But right now, 100% of my excellence, of my focus, is only focused on one thing. When you can learn how to control your mind to one final end, you will up your game significantly. Just pushing the hair around, especially around the fringe. When you see like jumpy cowlicks around the hairline, you want to finish that in the most organic fashion as humanly possible. Because remember, you have to anticipate after your blow dry, after your finish, you still have to go back and polish off your haircut, because the hair lies super different between wet and dry, and especially when you're dealing with super beyond super thick hair. Okay, so now I'll go back and cross-check my shape. I'll use round graduation. I just comb the hair out. If I see anything that's too heavy, I'll nail it down horizontally. But other than that, I'll just go in and I'll start texturizing the ends. Here, I'm not aiming to change my shape. I just want to give my shape a softer finish. And the amount of softness depends on what you decide is most, and what you decide fits your client best. Every client style is different, texture is different, head shape is different. These assessments you have to make on the spot. And then you adapt your repertoire to fit the end result that you see in your mind. And make sure before a haircut you actually have an end result that you can see in your mind. Otherwise it's guesswork. And when you're working with guesswork, you're doing harm to yourself, to your future, to your prosperity. It's always best to have a clean, clear mind map, a mindset. So you have like, you know the technique you're about to do, and just go and execute it, and then you already saw it. you doing this haircut, and it came out perfect. And then it'll come out even more so perfect. Still working in the texture, so Joy has tons of hair. So I have a horizontal line here. A horizontal line will make Joy's neck look super wide. So I'll go in and I'll knock down this corner. So by cutting in this steeper angle, as opposed to like almost square to the back, I'll make her neck look longer. And longer necks are basically, human beings, we see them as more attractive. So as you're cutting, your aim should also be select a technique that will make your client look most attractive, because beauty sells. You can mimic the same angle on the opposite side. So if you have a challenge, you can flip the chair around and use a mirror, but just balance out those angles. Take your time, make that line nice and clean. So then now I'm going to the sides. I'm just again removing weight. My technical line is pretty clean. I just want to remove that heaviness. And as I texturize the hair, one standard I hold my texturizing to is that I want to be able to comb the hair smoothly and comfortably from roots to ends. And then I don't want to feel any heaviness or any snags as I comb the hair from roots to ends. The texturize, I'm aiming for a symmetrical distribution of the weight and density of the hair. Okay, so now I'm going to the sides and just cleaning out that line. Comb to natural fall, clean, comb the hair to natural fall, clean it again, comb it to natural fall, clean it again, comb it to natural fall, clean it again, and just keep on doing it until that line gets super, super perfect. If you start to get bug-eyed, lean back a bit or start looking at your line from different angles. Okay, now I'm going back, I'm removing some more weight. Again, cleaning lines, there's no other way to do it than step by step. You cannot clean a line in one shot. Well, you can try, but the end result, I wouldn't put your reputation on it. So just keep on going back and cleaning it, and when you think the line's clean enough, stop, take a deep breath, and give it another 15 to 20 seconds. And just it's all about that detail. It's about the difference between a winner and a loser, or excellence or a mediocre haircut, is that extra 5%. Okay, and now at the fringe area, I'm working off of what's pre-existing. So I'll just polish off that fringe. I'll make it a bit heavier. And then once I make everything symmetrical, I'll go and I'll chip into the tips. But just with the fringe, be aware of any jumpy cowlicks. So I'll just elevate the hair and I'll just chip into the ends. And here I'm just looking for like soft balance. I want to see a little bit of the forehead behind the fringe. And that'll be a good indicator that I've texturized enough. Okay, and there we have it. Our Joy horizontal G-bob. Enjoy.